Greetings, my fellow dreamers, sovereign thinkers. This is Oberlin's podcast. My name is Craig, transmitting from beautiful Swampy Mountain, South Florida. And today's date is Friday, June 7th, 2019. So let's begin. Thank you, folks, for tuning in. And raining out there earlier today in the heart of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I'm at downtown the Saloon, located at 10 South New River Drive East, in the heart of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Downtown, New River, all that good stuff. They had me do shows here as well, and I thank them for that. So I hear the crowd in the back, people in the background chattering. That's all well and good. And even the co-workers as well. Good people here. I can't say anything bad about this facility. Yeah, so tomorrow will be the 52nd anniversary of the horrific event that happened on the USS Liberty. There's still unanswered questions. No true investigation. And they still want us to put, and they still want the American people to pay $3 billion a year annually on foreign aid. Redistribution of wealth, right? It's funny when I say that because you got folks out there that claim to be anti-socialists, but they do support foreign aid to Israel. That's like a double speak. And I'm saying that honorable, not to bash or anything like that. We're always going to have those certain rogue elements in government, regardless of where you're at. And something like happened to the good men and women that served under that ship. Suffered traumatically. And I recall too, even some of the Israeli pilots have been speaking about it as well, which they have conscience. You have to commend them for it. So, if I'm critical of a country, mainly governmental rogue elements in their government, never on a collective basis, just to make that very fair. And it's not being bigoted or anti-Semitic, etc. So, looks like all this censorship has been going on. Happened a couple of folks. They claim to be white supremacists and all that. They have different viewpoints. People think, oh, go, we shut them down. And I'll say one thing for sure. When that time comes with you, don't come complain to me. Because you be screaming and whining like the greatest banshee of all. Alright, so speaking of internet speech, we're going to be reading an article about this for the American Free Press. Came out June 7th, well, probably earlier this time, says by Phil Giraldi. Internet free speech all but dead. And like he says here in the beginning, unelected, unnamed censors are operating across the internet to suppress unapproved content. Internet was originally promoted as a completely free and uncensored mechanism for people everywhere to exchange, use, and communicate. It has been observed by many users that it's not really true anymore. But governments and service providers have developed a taste for controlling the product. When President Barack Obama once considered a kill switch that would turn off the internet completely in the event of a national emergency. President Trump has also had a lot to say about fake news and is reported to be supporting limiting protections relating to the internet. In May, a net neutrality bill that would have prevented service providers from manipulating internet traffic passed in the House of Representatives, but is reported to be dead on arrival in the Senate. So it will never be enacted. Social networking sites have voluntarily employed technical fixes that restrict some content and also have hired reviewers who will look for objectionable material and remove it. Pending European legislation, meanwhile, might require internet search engines to eliminate access to many unacceptable old posts. YouTube has already been engaged in deleting existing old material and is working with biased partners like the Anti-Defamation League to set up guidelines to restrict future content. Yes, a global gyno network or institution, Anti-Defamation League, which their main headquarters is located at the United Nations Plaza. Ain't that sweet? Many users of Facebook will have already undoubtedly noted that some contacts have been blocked temporarily or even permanently and denied access to the site. Google now automatically disables or limits searches for material that it deems to be undesirable. If Google does not approve of something, it will either not appear in search results or will be very low on the list. And what does come up will likely favor content that derives from those who pay Google to promote their products or services. Information that originates with competitors will either be very low in the search results or even blocked. Google consequently hardly an unbiased source of information. In May 2017, Facebook announced that it will be hiring 3,000 new censors, and my own experienced social networking censorship soon followed. I have posted an article entitled Charlottesville Requiem that I have written for a website. At the end of the first day, the site managers noted that while the article had clearly attracted a substantial Facebook readership, the likes for the piece were not showing up on the screen counter, i.e. were not being tabulated. It was almost impossible to share the piece on Facebook, as a button to do so had been removed. The likes on the site, the likes on sites like Facebook, Yahoo News comments, YouTube, and Google are important because they automatically determine how the piece is distributed throughout the site. If there's a lot of likes at the piece, goes to the top where a search is made for something is made, or when someone opens the page. Articles similarly can be sent to Coventry if they receive lots of dislikes or negative remarks. So the approvals or disapprovals can be very important in determining what kind of audiences reach or what search will reveal. In my case, after one day of my page reverted to the normal, the likes reappeared and readers were again able to share the article. But it was clear that someone had been managing what I had posted, apparently because they had not been disapproval of my content based on what must have been a political judgment. A couple of days later, I learned another example of a similar incident. The Ron Paul Institute website posts much of its material on YouTube, owned by Google, on a site where there had been advertising that kicked back to RPI a small percentage of the money earned. Suddenly, without explanation, both ads and rebate were eliminated after a manual review determined the content to be unsuitable for all advertisers. This was a judgment rendered apparently due to the disapproval of what the Institute does and says. The ability to comment on and link from the piece was also turned off. Now I've seen that a few times on YouTube, so I can attest to that, folks. Dissident British former diplomat Craig Murray noted in April 2018 the secretive manipulation of his articles that are posted on Facebook, observing that the site's visitor numbers were currently around one-third normal levels, stuck at around 20,000 unique visitors per day. The cause was not hard to find. Normally, over half of our visitors arrive via Facebook. These last few days, virtually noting that has come from Facebook. What is especially pernicious is that Facebook deliberately imposes this censorship in a secretive way. The primary mechanism when a block is imposed by Facebook is that my posts to Facebook are simply not sent into the timelines of the large majority of people who are friends or who follow. I am left to believe the post has been shared with them, but in fact it has only been shown to a tiny number. Then, if you're one of the few recipients that do see the post and share it, it will show you on your timeline as shared, but in fact the vast majority of your own friends would also not receive it. Facebook is not doing what it's telling you it's doing. It shows that it is shared, and Facebook is deliberately concealing the fact from you. Twitter has a similar system known as shadow banning. Again, it is secretive, the victim is not informed. Most recently, pressure to censor internet social networking and information sites has increased, coming both from government and from various interested constituencies. In late May, Facebook founder and CEO Mark Zuckerberg met with French President Emmanuel Macron to discuss how to eliminate hate speech on the internet. Yeah, so birds of a feather flock together. One's a Bilderberg stooge, and another one is a Rothschild butt boy. Now we'll continue on here. The two men agreed that the United States internet model, despite already being heavily manipulated, is to laissez-faire and express an interest exploiting the French system was considered acceptable to ban unacceptable points of view. Zuckerberg suggested that it might serve as a good model for the entire European Union. France is reportedly considering legislation that establishes a regulator with power to fine internet companies up to 4% of their global revenue, which can, in cases, be an enormous sum if they do not curb hateful expression. So unelected, unnamed censors are all operate all around the internet to control the content, which I suppose should surprise no one. And the interference will only get worse as both governments and service providers are willing to do what it takes to eliminate views that they find unacceptable, which curiously enough leads to consider how Russiagate came about and the current hysteria generated in the conventional media and also online against both Venezuela and Iran. How much of the anger is essentially fake, being manipulated, or even fabricated by large companies that earn mega billions of dollars by offering false pretenses as heavily managed product that largely what the government wants. Banning hate speech will be, unfortunately, the only first step in eliminating any and all criticisms of the status quo. Well, I have to say, I see that a lot, and many of the alternative news sites have been demonetized, shadow banned, purged, etc. This is how far these bastards want you to go. They want to try to tell us how to think, what to watch, and so forth. Well, I say this. This is nothing more than a fascistic regime. Tyranny to the core. Anti-free press. And see what you see in here was Zuckerberg and Macron get together. Yeah, something like Benito Mussolini would be extremely proud of. Precisely, that's what we call a form of fascism. They always trying to shadow the same, condemn anyone that has a different viewpoint, whether if you agree with them or not. This is purely blasphemous. And anyone that supports this are nothing more than cowards. And Uncle Toms and Angel Mamas to the system. Bend over Bobs to the New World Order. That's the truth. And I don't give a damn if you like it or not. You have to keep the free flow of information open. There are a lot of sites I don't need to be on. Because it's not my interest. That's my choice. My options. It should be yours also. But dictating to others is nothing more than oppressors. And that's the truth. Alright, then the next one here came from lawndirection.com. This came out like a few hours ago, a couple of hours ago, to be very frank. And this one here says here the internet reacts to Gibson's bakery versus Oberlin College verdict. This is by Kimberly K. And as it reads here, their verdict, jury awards Gibson Bakery $11 million against Oberlin College. And they've been here since 1885. Wow. And according to a report in the courtroom, the jury awarded $11 million. The other details, Alan W. Gibson was awarded $3 million, David Gibson $5.8 million, Gibson Brothers $2,274,500. Next Tuesday there will be a separate punitive. Ooh. And it says here, let me see, I'm trying to look this up. Boom. It's about William, wait a minute. William A. Jacobson. Hold on here. Okay, I'll go back. There's a pretty big case I see. Wow. So we'll just check this out. Internet reacts about the $11 million. Best and worst reactions to the $11 million judgment against Oberlin College. So of course you have everyone jumping for joy and other people be complaining. Gibson family reacts. David Gibson, $11 million verdict against Oberlin College after its 5 generations. Bakery was almost put out of business by false accusations of racial profiling. The stress put on the family was terrific. So do trial watchers. Gibson Bakery and Market, a 5th-generation bakery in Oberlin, Ohio, won an $11 million judgment in its defamation lawsuit against Oberlin College in the court of the common pleas of Lorain County, Ohio. The punitive damage hearing will be held next week, which could potentially increase damages to $33 million. In Gibson Brothers versus Oberlin College, a 134-year-old family-run bakery alleged that Oberlin College had defamed their establishment, and its 91-year-old Alan W. Gibson and his son David Gibson, after management intervened when one of the Oberlin students attempted to shoplift wine from their store. Background on this landmark case is included below. And of course here, Guy Benson goes, "Hoo boy, now here's a blow against race-baiting outrage mob." And of course, Ellen Carmichael, pretty huge news here. Gibson Bakery, 5th-generation family establishment, wins $11 million. Michelle Atkin, great news for justice. Joe Cordillo, same thing. And I'm trying to see where this site is at. But it's very powerful. I'm like, wow. Oberlin, so it says here, Oberlin Alumni Association sent the following email. Dear members of the Oberlin community, I am writing an update on the lawsuit that Gibson Brothers, Inc. filed against Oberlin College and Vice President and Dean Students Meredith Raimondo and Lorain County Court for the common pleas of November 2017, following a trial that spanned almost a full month. Jury found for the plaintiffs earlier today. We are disappointed with the verdict and regret that the jury did not agree with the clear evidence our team presented. Neither Oberlin nor Oberlin College or Dan Meredith Raimondo defamed a local business of its owners, and they never endorsed statements made by others. Rather, the college and Dr. Raimondo worked to ensure that students' freedom of speech was protected and that students' demonstrations were safe and lawful. They attempted to help the plaintiffs repair any harm caused by the student protest. As we have stated, colleges cannot be held liable for independent actions of their students. Institutions of higher education are obligated to protect freedom of speech on their campuses and respect their students' decisions to be peacefully exercise their First Amendment right. Oberlin College acted in accordance with these obligations. While we were disappointed with the outcome, Oberlin College wishes to thank the members of the jury for their attention and dedication during this lengthy trial. They contributed a great deal of time and effort to this case, and we appreciate their commitment. Our team will review the jury's verdict and determine how to move forward. Donica Thomas Varner, Vice President, General Counsel, Secretary. Okay, so you know what? Let's just take a look here. So I'm definitely going to keep this, and let's find out what they have to say on here. See what they have to say on here. It's very interesting. So there's links. You could actually link it yourselves on this matter. But let's read what he has to say here. Well, it's very Pretty powerful stuff, what can you say? All right. This came up 1:20 p.m. Verdict watch updated. Awaiting jury verdict in social justice. Yep, trial for a decade. That's updated 2:30 p.m. Interesting here. I like what it says here. Dan tells me the judge read the verdict in court and the jury awarded $11 million, and I'm waiting the details of which plaintiffs got, against which defendants for the claims. So, as I said, from Thursday, the jury in the Gibson Brothers versus Oberlin College has gone home for the day and had just one question to be answered by the courtroom this afternoon. The question concerned the jury instructions. Unfortunately, we don't have yet a copy of jury instructions. That's what they asked. The answer from the court. Interesting there. Refusing to meet an agent. But based on this, Oberlin College is liable. It's very interesting there. So, sometimes, folks, you got individuals out there. They want to take things for granted. They want to be drama queens, and it all backfires. And you know what? That's okay. So based on the evidence that the family made, the juror was very convinced. You know what? And of course, when they talk about that one person stealing a bottle of wine, they want to use that as a race baiting issue. It's a double-edged sword, my friends. That's why never fall for the exploited manifestation. It happens all the time. You got the news media, and everyone's a hype. They are reliable. They are guilty. So all the information comes out. Then the ones that be ranting the most, urinating the wind, I would say. Doesn't matter if it's civil or criminal. Get all the facts before jumping the gun. That's why I call them claims. And thievery is not good. That's the case. So, you got a bakery that's been there for a long time. It's funny because it happened as one person at some pizza place on near Hollandale, Hollywood Beach area, and they had this big union convention over there, and one of the folks from that organization was trying to get some food, and there was a claim that one of the workers was very biased. So the person went over there and let the union president know, and they had a big protest right in front of the place. It's been there for a very long time. It just went out of business. So it's just one of those things, folks. People gotta protect their stores, absolutely. They got a lot of merchandise invested. I was a traveling merchant. I know these things. Doesn't matter what these look like. So that's how I look at it. But very powerful, $11 million. They may have to appeal it, but I know one thing: Oberlin College may backfire on them as well. So a bit mellowed here. You gotta do one more. I'm not gonna go too crazy here. And this one came from the 10th Amendment Center.com. Michigan committee holds hearing on bills to ban on police use of facial recognition technology at warrantless Stingray spines. Came out yesterday by Mike Maharry. On Tuesday, a Michigan House committee held a hearing on two bills that would limit surveillance, protecting privacy, and hinder federal surveillance state. Senator Peter Lacido, from Republican, introduced Senate Bill 342 on May 22nd. The legislature would prohibit law enforcement officials from obtaining, accessing, or using any facial recognition technology, along with any information gathered from such technology. Information obtained in violation of the law would be inadmissible in court, as if evidence, arrest warrant, or search warrant was obtained in a violation of the Fourth Amendment, Amendment 4 of the Constitution of the United States, and Section 11, Article 1 of the State Constitution, 1963. In effect, passage of SB 342 would impose total ban on use of facial recognition technology by Michigan law enforcement. Rosito, Republican, also sponsors Senate Bill 341, titled the Electronic Information Data Privacy Act. The legislation would help block the use of cell site simulators known as Stingrays. These devices essentially spoof cell phone towers, tricking any device within range into connecting to the Stingray instead of the tower, allowing enforcement to sweep up communications content as well as locate the tracked person in a possession-specific phone or other electronic device. Under the proposed law, police would have to get a warrant before using a Stingray or any other method to obtain the location information. Store data, transmitted data of an electronic device in most stimulated situations. Law enforcement agencies will have to get a warrant before obtaining information data uploaded to a remote computing service, i.e. the cloud, from service providers. SB 341 includes some exceptions, warrant requirements, including certain emergency situations. If the device is reported stolen by the owner, informed consent by the owner of the user of the device in accordance with judicially recognized exceptions to the warrant requirement. Under the proposed law, any data illegally gathered would be admissible in court. All electronic information or data and record of a provider of an electronic communication service or remote computing service pertaining to a subscriber or customer that are obtained in violation of provisions of this Act are subject to the rules of growing exclusion as if records were obtained in violation of Amendment 4 of the Constitution of the United States and Section 11 of Article 1 of the State Constitution of 1963. The Senate Committee on Judiciary and Public Safety held a hearing on both bills on June 4th. Impact on federal surveillance programs. Federal, state, and local law enforcement agencies are partnering to create a massive nationwide facial recognition system. The FBI rolled out a nationwide facial recognition program in the fall of 2014 with the goal of building a giant biometric database with pictures provided by the states and corporate friends. The Center of Privacy and Technology at Georgetown Law released a perpetual lineup, a massive report on law enforcement use of facial recognition technology in the U.S. You can read the complete report at perpetuallineup.org. The organization, it was a link for that too, so check it out, folks. The organization conducted a year-long investigation and collected more than 15,000 pages of documents through more than 100 public records requests. Reports paint a disturbing picture of intense cooperation between the federal government and the state and local law enforcement to develop a massive recognition database. We can say, a la Homeland Security. Face recognition is a powerful technology that requires strict oversight, but those controls, by and large, don't exist today. Report co-author Claire Garvey said, with only a few exceptions, there are no laws governing police the use of the technology, no standards ensuring its accuracy, and no systems checking for bias. It's a wild west. The facial recognition technology, police and other government officials have the capability to track individuals in real time. These systems allow law enforcement agencies to use video cameras and continually scan everybody who walks by. According to the report, several major police departments have expressed an interest in this type of real-time tracking. Documents revealed agencies in the last 5 major cities, including Los Angeles, either claim to run real-time face recognition off the street cameras, brought technology with the capability, or expressed written interest in buying it. In all likelihood, the federal government heavily involved itself in helping states and local agencies obtain this technology. The feds provide grant money to local law enforcement agencies and a vast array of surveillance gear. The federal government essentially encourages and funds a giant nationwide surveillance net and then taps into the information via fusion centers and the information sharing environment, which is ISE. The federal government also funds the vast majority of state and local Stingray programs, attaching one important condition. The feds require agencies acquiring the technology to sign non-disclosure agreements. This throws a giant shroud over the program, even preventing judges, prosecutors, and defense attorneys from getting information about the use of Stingrays in court. The feds actually instructed prosecutors who have brought evidence as judges or legislators pressed for information. As a Baltimore Sun reporter in April 2015, a Baltimore detective refused to answer questions on the stand during the trial, citing a federal non-disclosure agreement. Defense attorney Joshua Ensley asked Cabrera about the agreement. Does the document instruct you to withhold evidence from the state's attorney and the circuit court, even upon your court order to produce? He asked. Yes, Cabrera said. As PrivacySOS.org put it, the FBI would rather police officers and prosecutors let criminals go than face a possible scenario where a defendant brings a Fourth Amendment challenge to warrant the Stingray spying. Yeah, J. Edgar Hoover is climaxing in his grave there, you know? The experience of Pinellas County, Florida, further highlights a shroud of secrecy around the use of Stingray devices, along with the potential for abuse of power inherited in America's law enforcement community. The feds sell the technology in the name of anti-terrorism efforts with non-disclosure agreements in place. Most police departments refuse to release any information on their use of Stingrays, but information obtained from the Tacoma Police Department revealed that it uses technology primarily routine criminal investigations. Some privacy advocates argue that the Stingray use can never happen with the parameters of the Fourth Amendment because the technology necessary connects to every electronic device within range, not just the one held by the target, and information collected by these devices undoubtedly ends up in the federal databases. Fusion centers are sold as a tool to combat terrorism, but this is not how they are being used. The ACLU pointed out through a bipartisan congressional report to demonstrate the true nature of government fusion centers. They haven't contributed anything meaningful to counterterrorism efforts. Instead, they have largely served as police surveillance and information sharing nodes for law enforcement efforts targeting the frequent subjects of police attention: black and brown people, immigrants, dissidents, and the poor. The Fusion Center operates with a broader ISE. According to its website, the ISE provides analysts, operators, and investigators with the information needed to enhance national security. These analysts, operators, and investigators have a mission needs to collaborate and share information with each other, with private sector partners, and their foreign allies. In other words, ISE serves as a conduit for sharing of information gathered without a warrant. Known ISE partners include the Office of Director of National Intelligence, which oversees 17 federal agencies and organizations, including the NSA. ISE utilizes these partnerships to collect and share data on the millions of unwitting people they track. In a nutshell, without state or local cooperation, the feds have much more difficult time gathering information. Simply put, data that doesn't exist cannot be entered into the federal databases. You know what I say? People of Michigan to support this damn bill and give the big middle finger to the FBI, Homeland Security, and any one of federal tyrannical institutions as well. This is downright unacceptable. So, you know what? Counter it. Nullification, 10th Amendment style. So, you know what? I say give them the thumbs up. Make it happen. And that is it. I thank everyone for listening. Plus, feel free to download and share us throughout your social media networks. If you have any questions, comments, or if you said something interesting I want to check out, whatever you do, please send your correspondence to the forum. Plus, I'll be leaving all my footnotes, including social media sites and email addresses, on my Spreaker page. If you want to contact me or follow me on other sites, boom, right there. Plain and simple. All right, my friends, once again, thank you for your time. Plus, always remember that the demoniac resistance is something for the soul and can liberate humanity. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Keep on spreading the love. And may your guardian spirits be with you.